Hi, my name's Adrian Marsh. I'm from the UK. I run a research company called AM Innovations, which specialises in Tesla research, high voltage power research, and the kind of things that we're investigating here at the ESTC 2019 conference. So today what we were doing is we had the Colorado Springs scale model. Now, we did some running of that yesterday with a linear power supply, but obviously we didn't have that power supply today. So we needed to find a new way to actually drive that system so we could carry on with the experimentations, and particularly with some of the more unusual Tesla experiments would be nice. So what we decided to do was to take one of the spark gap generators from the multi-wave oscillator initiative and to retune that into a generator that we could use to power the Colorado Springs. So that was in conjunction with Eric Dollard, and to start that we looked at how to tune the system. So that is using technology that Tesla didn't have, but we have the luxury of having that in the modern era. So we did what's called vector network analysis using a vector network analyzer. And what that equipment does is it looks at the network it's connected to, and it tells you all kinds of useful parameters and information. So it's looking at it in the frequency domain, and it's all about looking at the impedance of the system over frequency. And that shows us important information like where do the coils resonate, what frequency do they resonate at, what is their impedance, and that tells us how we should match the system to the generator. So for the system to really work, the generator needs to be in tune with the experiment. So you need to bring the generator and the experiment in tune. Then you're going to transfer the maximum power between the two. After all, the Colorado Springs experiment was all about the transmission of wireless power. So in other words, how to take power from, if we can say it, the transmitter, and we can transfer that energy to the receiver. Obviously, we want to transfer as much power as possible. In principle, we want to pass all of the power from the generator through the transmitter to the receiver. And the way to do that is to tune it together in the best possible way that we can. So we use the vector network analyzer to analyze the system, look at the fundamental and second harmonic frequencies. Then that tells us how we need to adjust the generator. So the number of turns that we should excite on the primary, and the amount of capacitance loading we should put inside the generator itself, until we get just the right tune. And when we did that, we were able to do it in several stages. So first of all, with just one coil, the transmitter, get that working properly with the generator. Then connect the two together, the transmitter and the receiver, and then transfer power from one to the other. And when I mean transfer power, so then we disconnect the vector network analyzer, we connect the power supply directly to the transmitter, and when we turn the power on and we turn it up slowly from 0 up to as high as we can go without creating arcs or discharges between the primary and the secondary and the extra coil, that's just loss of energy, and it also damages the system. So little by little we have to wind it up, and as we increase that power, so then we can take something, for example, like a fluorescent light bulb, which is a good indication of the electric field around the transmitter and the receiver, and we can hold that close to the transmitter and receiver, and if you hold it close enough, then you're actually going to draw a spark off of the system. So that's actually showing you the energy, the longitudinal energy, which was Tesla's hallmark, was establishing that longitudinal magneto-dielectric wave between the transmitter and the receiver. When you bring the fluorescent light close, there you are actually going to see a spark jump off of the system. So energy is passing out onto the fluorescent light, and of course the light lights up. You are energizing it, and you can do that even without drawing a spark. So it's a very useful thing to be able to show what's happening with the electric field around the transmitter and the receiver. And what we found is that we were able to tune the system well enough to get good transmission of power between the transmitter and the receiver. Unfortunately, the generator's not powerful enough to go really deep into some of the more exotic things, but we're going to have another try at that. We've got some more components. We try and tune it a little better and see whether we can get those two coils working very closely together. And in that situation, when we connect them up in quadrature, then we can start seeing some of those interesting phase effects. So what happens, for example, when one coil pushes on the other and the other pushes back, and it creates a null, interesting null space between them. That's another part of Tesla's experiments, something that Eric Dollard has also demonstrated in the past. In summary, what we wanted to do today was we wanted to make that Colorado Springs experiment work, but using a different generator. So in other words, we took the spark gap generator that was designed for the multi-wave oscillator, we retuned it using complex advanced measurement techniques. For example, a vector network analyzer. We used that to assess the system, retune it, combine the two coils together, and then we were able to successfully drive that from the spark gap generator.